Okay, so in this video we're going to talk about the not good enough wound. Where does the not good enough wound come from? Well, the not good enough wound comes from, it originates from childhood. It originates from childhood trauma, child abuse from our parents. If we had a narcissistic parent, if we had a parent that verbally abused us, physically abused us, withhold love from us, was cold, emotionally unavailable parent, we probably would have developed this not good enough wound where you generally feel like you're not good enough. This wound develops when you look for acceptance and you look for love from your parents and maybe different family members who were supposed to love you and you didn't get it, right? You were being emotionally abandoned. You did not get your emotional needs met from your parents, and that is how this wound will develop. You probably have been raised by a parent who had their own unhealed, not good enough wound, who constantly criticized you, compared you with other siblings, controlled you, constantly correcting you, and correcting you in a harsh way, and made you feel like you are not good enough and anything you did was not good enough for them. You would generally feel unworthy and just all of your achievements would not even matter to you or to them, like they are not good enough, right? And as a result of this, you might spend your whole lifetime trying to compensate and trying to make up for not feeling good enough, constantly trying to be better, constantly trying to achieve, constantly trying to prove yourself. If you have developed this wound in childhood, you probably are constantly trying to be better, trying to prove and to achieve, to show and to feel like you're good enough. So that is the not good enough wound. Now, how to know if you have the not good enough wound? Obviously, I mentioned if you have been abused as a child in some way, you probably have this wound. So I'm just going to list off a few points where you could recognize if you have this not good enough wound where you generally feel like you're not good enough. If you're trying to achieve constantly, trying to prove yourself constantly, if you bend over backwards for people, if you are self-abandoning, if you are overcompensating, if you have poor boundaries, maybe you lack the ability to set boundaries. If you're trying to prove that you're good enough to parents, to family members, to friends, if you are constantly looking for praise and approval at home, at work, from your parents, if you feel like you don't belong very often, if you're overdoing, if you are trying to rescue people all the time, if you're always trying to fix every problem in someone else's life, if you're always putting yourself last, this means that you have the not good enough wound. If you give and give and give to people and you find it hard to receive, if you have self-image problems, if you're always apologizing, and if you probably get some relief from shopping, drinking, smoking, overeating, watching TV, being on social media, sleeping a lot, over-exercising, hooking up, excessive work, working long hours, gambling, that means you have this not good enough wound. If you get relief from these activities and you overdo it, these activities, trying to escape not feeling good enough, it might not be conscious, it could be unconscious. It means that you have this not good enough wound. If you have a hard time saying no, if you are very critical of yourself and you are harsh on yourself and you set very high standards for yourself, you have the not good enough wound. If you ignore self-care because you might think that it's selfish to take care of yourself, if you are codependent, if you are saying things like, things never work out for me, I suck at this, I'm such a loser, I messed up, I screwed up everything, everybody always leave me. If you're saying things like this in your head out loud, it means that you have the not good enough wound, right? Now, how to heal this wound? How to be better? How to try to fix this wound? First of all, we need to identify and recognize that we have this wound, and the things I just listed off, you can use that. And I also was explaining, if you had a traumatic childhood, if you were abused in some way physically, your parents probably beat you a lot, kicked you, slapped you, dragged you, broke your bones, boxed you, whatever it is, physically or verbally abused you, yelled at you constantly, scolded at you, shouted at you, talk to you in a degrading way. If they emotionally neglected you, for example, if they provided for you on a material level and ignore your emotional needs like love, attention, affection, understanding, reasoning with you, trying to help you walk through your emotions, understanding emotions, you probably would have this not good enough wound, right? So we just need to, first thing is recognize that we have this wound, right? Second thing we do is we reflect on childhood, try to figure out how it came about and why. We can do this by journaling, sitting in silence and contemplating, introspecting about our life, about our past, researching about different issues that happens in childhood, reflecting back on the past, bringing up memories, looking back at how you were raised, talking to other family members to help you to remember what happened in childhood, right? You need to get to know your family history. You need to review the stories that you have been telling yourself. You need to get honest and vulnerable about yourself, about your past, and review the feelings that you had and the ways that you were thinking in childhood, to really reflect on what happened and where the wound came from. So you might be able to do this on your own, or according to how severe it is, you might need to go to counseling, you might need therapy, you might need a professional to help you to walk through this trauma from childhood and to help you to remember what happened in the past, so you can figure out how this not good enough wound developed. Or you could talk to a trusted friend or a trusted family member to help you to walk through this, to help you to remember what happened in the past. Third thing is to redirect negative thoughts. Whenever you're feeling like you're not good enough, we need to change this whole belief system that we're not worthy, that we're not good enough. You need to encourage yourself by repeating kind and soothing words over and over every day to yourself. You need to turn self-criticism and self-rejection into the opposite. Turn self-criticism and self-rejection into self-love statements, into positive statements in your mind. Reframe your mind. Reframe your mindset. Use positive affirmations. Catch these negative thoughts and reframe them. Right? Fourth thing to do is inner child work. It's not a literal child. It is a metaphorical little you that is still inside your psyche. You're still like innocent and full of wonder. You're still childlike within your mind. That part, you're going to reparent. Basically, it's called reparenting yourself. It's approach that we use to recognize and to heal childhood trauma, reparenting yourself. So inner child work is when you speak to your inner child and you explain to them, your inner child, what happened in childhood, and you validate the feelings and the experience that you had in childhood. So you're talking to your inner child. As a parent, you are reparenting yourself. So when you have already reflected on your childhood and you went back through memories and you understand where this wound, not good enough wound, came from, you're going to, for example, talk to your inner child and tell them, which you are talking to you, that whatever happened in childhood, it was not your fault. You understand that you were scared. I love you. I am here for you. I am sorry that this happened. I forgive you. It was not your fault. You are smart. You are lovable. You are worthy. Especially saying that it was not your fault. You were not responsible for the relationship that you had with your mother and your father. Right? You tell yourself you had to do what you needed to do to survive. Maybe you suppressed your emotions. Maybe you got really aggressive and angry. Maybe you started to use alcohol, drugs. Maybe you were in denial. Maybe you tried to forget hard about what happened. So you're telling yourself you understand that, and you understand that you needed to do what you needed to do to survive as a child. So you're talking to your inner child in that loving way, understanding way, right? And ways you can do this, you can just, maybe you could write a letter to yourself, writing a letter to your inner child. Or you could talk out loud to your inner child. Or you could journal, writing out what happened and explaining to yourself, to your inner child, why it happened, and you understand and that you forgive yourself, right? You could ask a question, write a question in your journal, and you just answer. Meditate, you could ask questions while meditating. Talk to your inner child and ask them questions about how did you feel in the past, why did you feel that way, and you reason and you understand and you validate these feelings and these thoughts and emotions and the things that you did, right? So that is inner child work. Fifth thing you could do is to create boundaries. Stop abandoning yourself. You need to protect yourself from others. You need to stop abandoning yourself in situations, and also protect yourself from others who are treating you less than, who are not treating you well, right? So you deserve to be treated with kindness and respect. So you would actually need to walk away and to distance yourself from people who are treating you less than, right? That is one thing you need to do. And the next thing you need to do is to fix the people pleasing. Stop abandoning yourself, as I mentioned before. You need to be able to say no sometimes. You need to stop overcompensating. Stop trying to prove that you're good enough. Stop people pleasing. Stop trying to rescue. Stop trying to fix every problem. Stop trying to give and give and give and overgive to others. Right? So you need to notice all of these things and to stop them bit by bit. Right? So that was the not good enough wound, where it came from. And you could check to see if you have it. I gave a list of different situations. You could review the video, look at that, and then you try to fix all of these problems. It would not be easy. It takes a very long time, and you need to have patience with yourself, and you need to take full responsibility of this not good enough wound, of feeling not good enough, because it's going to affect your romantic relationships, it's going to affect your work life and other family life. So That's all I have for this video, and see you in the next video.